Hello everyone, welcome to SIUK Nigeria webinar. Thank you for joining us today. We are now live with MPW. Over to you, Ini.
All right, thank you, Deepika. Good day, everyone. And again, thank you for joining the MPW webinar for today. My name is Ini, as my colleague Deepika said, and we are so excited to have.
Ini, your voice
All
is
right.
coming very low. Could you please repeat?
Okay. Yeah. So. Yeah. All right. So. Yeah. A quick introduction to MPW. MPW stands for Mander Portman Woodward. It is an independent college network based in London, Birmingham, and Cambridge. It is founded in 1973 and offers students an attractive and modern learning environment to study GCSEs, A levels, and university foundation courses. Today's section will cover three specific, topics. First of which would be A levels as a gateway to UK universities. The second being comparing A levels and foundation programs, and the third being an interview with Nigerian MPW alumnus Valerie, who is now studying medicine at Queen Mary in Malta. All right, so we're quite excited to have our presenters here with us today, and I'll be inviting James shortly to take up the section from here. Again, thank you for joining us, and have a very fulfilling time. Thank you, James. Over to you, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Ini. Yes, so thank you very much for joining the webinar today and having a listen to what we have to tell you. Ini has very kindly introduced MPW a little bit for you guys already. So we do offer 46 different subjects at MPW, which means that we have many, many pathways to help students to access undergraduate degrees in any discipline at any UK university. Now, obviously, if you have questions specific to MPW, then please do share them with us. We'll be very happy to take you through those at the end. But we hope that today, we'll be able to help you to understand the products that we run in a little bit more detail, and obviously hearing from Valerie as well, who's very kindly joined us, who studied at MPW herself. So I'm going to pass over to my expert colleague, Mr. James Barton, who is going to give you some more information.
James, thanks very much indeed. Just before you completely go on mute, I'm just going to share the screen, and I'm always curious as to whether people can see these things. So if I do this, will you mind just telling me you've got it all and I'm good to go?
Yes, we can see that clearly.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you very much. Right, good morning, or in fact good afternoon to everyone. Now it's changed over time-wise. So my name is James Barton. Thanks to James, and thanks to the Nigeria team to have us on today. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take you through starting your journey. And I'm going to do it from the MPW way. I've interviewed for MPW now for about 14 years and various universities and schools along the way. So hopefully that means I know a little bit about interviewing. But the reason I want to come at you from the perspective of interviewing and being an MPW interviewer is that you know a little bit more about us, know a bit more about our products, but more specifically, the MPW interview from the outset is more of a reflection, a representation of the approach that we take whilst you are a student with us in the school. So if I get you thinking like us, hopefully that means you might understand a little bit more about us too. But inevitably, the way I like to always run these things is, even though we're in the middle of, or the start of the afternoon, your brains probably need warming up a little bit. So whilst all questions are to be directed towards the end and fielded at the end, would you please join in on some of the interactive bits along the way? Very simply, would you just solve this puzzle for me? Do always pop these into the chat as well, so I can see what answers you're coming up with. Or if you feel so bold, unmute your microphone and come on and talk to me live. But solve this puzzle for me, please. What is the next number in the sequence? Now, everything may seem a little random, and I will talk to you whilst you do all of these things, because everything does have a point at the end of the day. Now, shortly, I'm going to introduce Valerie to you as well. Valerie is one of our outstanding MPW ambassadors who will explain a little bit more about herself. But what Valerie doesn't know is she's also going to be a bit of a guinea pig on this webinar as well, too. So look, answers, please. What do we think the next number in the sequence is? Does anyone feel bold enough to volunteer something? Now, I know we're also live on YouTube right now, and I can't see your answers. So as long as you have them in your heads, that's probably just as good. Anyone want to volunteer an answer? I'm not 100% sure how you came to 32, but if you'd like to explain it to me, then that would be marvelous. Any advances on 32? Well, look, the nice thing about this particular puzzle and the reason for using it from the outset is always to get people to understand one particular thing. Yeah, yes, please do unmute. Come on, explain why you got 32, and then I'll pick it up on the point from there. I've got a 19 in there as well. Would you like to unmute as you asked?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Wabatune. So I arrived at 32 because I checked the sequence and it's 2. The differences are 2, and I multiply that by the next figure. That's how I arrived at 32. If you check the first figure, which is 1 plus 5 and 1 plus 4 equals 5. The next is 12. Then the difference between 12 and 5 is 7. After that, the difference between 21 and 12 is 9. So I figured maybe the difference between for the next one should be 11. So adding 11 to 21 gave me 32. I'm not sure if I'm correct. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. And thank you for being brave enough to come on and actually talk to me about that one. The interesting thing about this particular puzzle is for the very reason that you've just highlighted. And someone else popped down 19 here as well. It's a puzzle, and it can't be 19 just simply because sequences have to go up. But it's a puzzle that actually can be solved in so many different ways. Now, the standard way most people will come to, let me just give you a bit of rudimentary maths here, is 96, okay? So you might find that people come via this particular channel there. I won't talk you through the maths because this is not a maths lecture, but if you have a look, you can arrive at 96 based upon the mathematics on your screen. But hang on, is there a second solution? Well, in fact, there's many different solutions. Another solution that many people do come to as well is 40, because you can also make it up to 40 in this particular way. The question being, which one's right? Or is it 32? Thank you. Someone popped 40 down on there as well. Which is right? The answer is they are all right in their own ways, because you've come at that answer from different directions. But the thing is, you've come at it your own way. And that's really what we're looking for in individuality within students, how you think, how you come up with answers at the end of the day. Doesn't mean something's wrong if you come up with a different answer from someone else. What it means is it's a unique answer for you. This is not a hard and fast maths equation. This is a puzzle, I suppose. It's a brain riddle to see how it is your thought process actually works. Now, MPW has long had this wonderful tagline, which is tailored, not uniform. And I absolutely 100% believe in it, because what it means is that education is unique and individual to all. Okay, what we're looking to do is actually find the program that works for you versus the program that works for somebody else. And the reason for having so many different subjects and products on offer is because what's right for you is undoubtedly not going to be right for someone else. Even within choosing A levels as a broad title, you will still be choosing different subjects on the basis of who you are. But the most common question we ever get when you sit down in an interview to start with is everyone will suddenly come up with, I need to go to a Russell Group university in order to be able to get ahead in my career. And you always have to break down these misconceptions from the outset and trying to look, honestly, where are you most employable from? Now, a lot of places will have a Russell Group bias, and that is the place that people want to actually begin from. but at the end of the day, it's specific to different industries. So what this does is it starts off the conversation for us. Now, what do I look for as an interviewer? We look at the end goal first, that job, that university career. We look at where you want to go, and then we pair it back from there. We're then looking at your age, where you've come from, your academic background. More interesting for me, I look at what makes you unique. And it's not by asking you the question of what makes you unique, it's by actually listening to the answers you give throughout the entire conversation. And we're assessing language level at the time, but that does obviously not apply to you chaps. But we then talk a little bit about the whole system. Now, choosing the right route is absolutely critical. We take A-levels, so do the majority of schools in the United Kingdom. Some of them take IB, but to a much lesser extent. And if you look at the numbers on here, there is a heavy bias towards taking A-levels because they are the gold standard in the United Kingdom. Okay, they are the ones that have been around for a long enough period of time, and they are specific, whereas IB, which is a wonderful qualification, is very broad and based at the end on an average across all of your different subjects, whereas A-levels award you based upon your ability in just 3. Is there a university bias towards them though? Very difficult to say, but if the majority of the country is taking A-levels, then it's a lot clearer for universities to be awarding marks based upon the A-level. And the A-levels are also far more forgiving than the IB. In order to actually give the same weight to IBs, there has to be an equivalence scale. And wherever you're using an equivalence scale, rather waters down the purpose of taking IB in the first place. So the usual model is that we have GCSE students between years 10 and 11, so that's 14 to 16, and you're taking 10 different subjects. You then graduate into A-levels, at which point you pick 4 subjects to begin with. The 4th one, for us, is absolutely free and encouraged because what we don't know yet is what you're good at. We've met you for the first time, and you might not know what you're good at yet either. So we need to play out the scenario of letting you choose and explore different subjects within there. That has to be dropped at the end of the first year, but for at least a 1-year period, we can at least try different things. In the last year, in that year 13, you then take 3 subjects, which is what you're based upon for university. So you're given predicted grades for which the university will then make an offer to you based upon these predictions. If you hit those predictions at the end of year 13, then off you go to university after that. Now, Russell Group universities usually are the ones that sort of set the standard as to what everyone else should be looking at because they only require 3, so do the majority. There's no clear advantage to taking 4 A-levels unless you're likely to hit the same grade across all 4. Okay, 3 A's will always stand better than 4 B's. Always try and look at it in those terms. And there's one other thing which has now been around for a few years, but is still just as highly regarded, if not more so, and it's the EPQ. We'll talk a little bit about the EPQ, but the EPQ is a wonderful separate qualification which rather shines a light on you as an undergraduate student already in the making, and it can affect your grade offer in the fact that it can bring it down to a slightly more palatable level if you do well on your EPQ. Okay, just destroying a few myths and facts. Is it crucial what you do now? Yes and no, and it really depends on what you're going on to do, as we'll see. Choosing different subjects is really the core of the interview in the first place, because we want to make sure you get it right, but also we want to make sure you're going to enjoy your 2 years of university experience, or even 1 year if you're going to elect to take a 1-year route. There are such things as 1-year A-levels, but they come with a health warning. You can't suddenly go from being 16 years old to doing 1-year A-levels manageably, because you're not academically in the right place to do so. But if you have finished your school system already, then doing a 1-year A-level can often be a much better route than doing a 1-year foundation, depending on what is right for you. Okay, work experience and these sorts of things and extracurricular, how important are they to the university system in the United Kingdom? We're not American, okay? So the American system champions them, and well, it should. In the English system, as much as we want you to have them and we encourage you to have them because it rounds you off as a person, and MPW is very, very good at giving you extra opportunities outside of the courses, i.e. you'll have lots of opportunities for sport and community service and academic options and learning new things, all the options are there for you, almost to the same number as the number of A levels that we have to offer, but they're not crucial for your application. We are looking, though, as MPW, for students who are willing to engage with the community of the school. Okay. And simply put, we just want you to be true to yourself across the years that you've got with us. So there we are. We're talking in the interview. We're looking at the universities to start with, and everyone generally tends to mention the Russell Group. If you don't know who the Russell Group are, they are what are considered to be the UK's leading 24 universities. Please note, that does not mean the top 24 universities. Here they are on the side of your screen, and just because the world loves a good league table, I've put the Guardian league table right next to it. And as you will see, they are not similar. There are some similarities, but they do not accurately match. And that's because the Russell Group is there because they're a lobbying group. They get the most amount of funding for research, and they are world leading in what they do, but it doesn't always make them right for the course. So one of the first things we have to do when sitting down with you is just address these preconceptions that are there and try and get you to understand what we want you to do first is to choose the course, and then we choose everything else based upon that, because if you know the course, it helps us guide you now. In the UK, you've got over 150 universities, 6,000 degrees. There's a lot going to it, and you've got a long time to choose. All right. We talk a little bit about the university. We talk about what you're looking for, because what you're looking for at university often is a reflection of what you want at sixth form. Some people might be wanting a campus university, which might tend to imply they want a bit more of a boarding school product at this stage. Some people might want to be in a city, in which case the college environment is absolutely right. More specifically, when you're looking at the type of university, we're also considering whether A levels are right for you or whether foundation courses are right for you, because not all universities will take foundation courses in a way that all universities will take A levels. So we look at the whole picture, encouraging you really to look at what graduates do when they leave, okay? Because graduates give you a sense as to how you can vary your course now. But we look at the whole picture. Then we pare it back and we look at the right course. Okay, what course are you looking to do? What's it cover? What does it actually mean? I almost have lost count nowadays in terms of how many people you'll sit down in front of who say they want to do business at university and cannot ever detail what business actually means. Let's be clear. Business is a huge umbrella. Okay, it covers so many different things, from business management through to marketing, to accounting, to advertising, the whole range. And even within management, you've got management, but then again, UCL's management course is management science, which is completely different again. So we have to have a chat about these things, because once we know what course it is you want to do, it helps us understand what subjects you should be doing now, so you have what is required to cope at university. So we've gone through all of this as a list first. And then we get to the courses. Slightly blurry on your screen, I apologize if it is. We look at what A levels actually are. And as we said before, A levels are taken over the course of 2 years. Nowadays, all the exams for most of those courses are done at the end of 2 years. So it's not an accumulation as you go through. But the way MPW works, and to compensate for that, is we do regular assessments throughout the course of 2 years in order to check exactly what target you're onto, and also allows us to be able to redirect you strategy-wise should you require it. We do encourage all students to take the EPQ in the first term of their course at MPW, just because at that point you can find out a little bit more about it before you dismiss it. As a statistical number for you, about 60% of students take on the EPQ and the remaining don't. They prefer to focus on 4 A levels. We won't do 4 A levels and an EPQ, because at the end of the day, we want you to have a social life as well. And sometimes taking on too much is just detrimental to you and your mental health as well. Okay, so A levels are what we consider to be the gold standard. And as James said before, we've got 46 different subjects now. There's an awful lot available, and that is in its own way wonderful, because it means you can find out who you really are and what you are actually interested in. And anything from accounting through to theatre studies generally is included. But what makes a good combination? For years and years, you had this term called facilitating subjects, facilitating and non-facilitating subjects. And this was put out there from the Russell Group in order to try and get people to do what they wanted you to do before you went to university. Why did they want you to do it? Because ultimately, these courses are considered to be the ones that give you the right skills to be able to cope on any university degree. Okay, now they've scrapped that because there was too much of a backlash after so long for it, and as more and more A levels were introduced and taken away, it became messy. So there is no such thing as facilitating and non-facilitating subjects per se now. But having said that, these are still the subjects that these universities look for you to have in your combination because they give you a strong set of skills. English, maths, physics, biology, chemistry, so the sciences, geography, history, and modern languages. Now, actually, you can have some classical language in there as well. Okay. Now, this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. And the reason why we talk so much about it, because when you're actually looking at university websites, they have their own lists of sort of subjects that they're looking for you to see. This one actually is taken from the University of Sheffield in terms of subjects that they'd be looking for you to see in there as well, which is a lot of a bigger list than the other one, but it still rather confuses people as to what they should actually be doing. So what we actually say is think beyond your subjects, think beyond where you want to be and what you think you're going to need to have in order to get there. Then you have three different types of people, really, don't you? You've got the students who already know what they want. These are the people who will sit down in front of me and say, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a dentist, I want to be an engineer. And if you look at the left-hand side of the screen now, just a few examples of the subjects that you would require in your A-level combination in order to be able to get onto those courses at university. So medicine, dentistry, veterinary, they all require chemistry and biology. And I put chemistry first because chemistry is the #1 subject. Again, Valerie might give you a bit of an insight to this in a minute, but chemistry is the one that you need above all others in the first place. Most people will go for biology first because it is more akin to medicine, but in fact, because of the biochemical elements to the medicine course, chemistry is very important. Engineering requires maths and physics. To be a lawyer, you don't actually require any specific subjects, but what you do need is a broad essay base because you're going to be doing a lot of analytical research and a lot of writing. So we look to try and introduce an essay-based subject in there. Architecture, another interesting one. It used to be that you had to have maths and or physics in your combination too. Here's the thing, nowadays you don't require these at all. But what you need to be aware of is that as part of the architecture course, you will need to know some maths and you will need to know some physics. So there is a variance in terms of what is required from university to university there. And economics will always be the big one. People will want to do economics, and therefore we actually really have to try and get you to understand that if you want to do economics, you need maths. Economics is only part useful. Maths is essential. The second type of person who will sit down is the one who likes lots and lots of subjects, but has no idea how to choose between them. And what we'll say to you then is keep your options open. Study subjects which are going to motivate you and to inspire you and to make you want to turn up to that particular lecture on that particular wet Wednesday when you might otherwise want to be staying in bed. What's going to inspire you in the future? Play to your strengths. Try and do the subjects that you've done well at before. So find the balance within there. Okay, there is still plenty of opportunity to provide you breadth within your A-level subjects. So don't be too single focused on one particular route if you don't know what you want to do. Take lots of different things, fully use that 4 A-level system, because then you'll be able to choose much neater. And this is another reason why A-levels will actually be more beneficial for you than foundation. Because foundation is remarkably specific to what you want to do in the future. And for those first category of people, that might be relevant. But for most people, A-levels will fall into this second bracket, and most people are either a second person or a third person who has no clue. And for the person who has no clue, we really want you to start getting to understand who you are and what in fact you're actually just going to enjoy doing. Okay, you need to ask yourself some questions. Where do I see myself in 5 years' time, 10 years' time? What have I enjoyed to date? What do I look around and see other people doing? Does that inspire me? Yes, no. Read the news, watch it. Tell me about a TV program you enjoy. What does that profession do on that particular TV program that you're watching? Does that inspire you? So we try and have a more creative look at exactly what it is. Okay. Right, so take what you enjoy. There are notable exceptions to this, and we've mentioned them before. So I'm just going to pop them on the screen again because I want you to get those in your head. If you know what you want to do, then you need to be specific at your A levels from the outset. And that is why we talk about university. If you don't, you fall into the 85–90% of students who have no idea what they want to do at university. So breadth is more important in your A level subjects. Okay. You can take some A levels without having studied them first. In fact, that's the case for the majority of A levels. You can't with the maths and the sciences because you need the background. But more or less, I'll make an argument that you can start an A level from the very beginning with no knowledge. The other one I'll just make a slight exception to is art, because if you don't actually have any sort of art background, you're not naturally going to cope being a creative student for 2 years. Try and avoid too many subjects with studies in the title: religious studies, media studies, theatre studies, all of these different ones, film studies within there, because they're not given the same academic weight by the majority of universities. So you need to be considerate as to the balance that you have in your subjects. And creative subjects as well. If you take too many creative subjects, you're in danger of being too one-dimensional, so you'll go into a more creative route. Quick examples for you. Not only are we choosing A-level subjects with you, you also need to have a look through when you're looking at your universities as to what they require, because saying you want to do medicine doesn't give you the be-all and the end-all. Yes, we know you need to do biology and chemistry, and generally one other subject applies. And having been a medical interviewer for so many years, I want to see difference. I want to see something new. I want to see a language or an art or something like that, because it makes you more interesting as a person within that. But the grade boundaries can differ from university to university. So one of the things we're also trying to do is to get you to understand, don't be too fixed on one place, see the broad range of things in there. Again, law. Now, as we said, law has no specific requirements per se, but certain universities will have their own preferred subjects, and we're veering you towards those too. And engineering is a big umbrella term, once again, a bit like business, and there are different requirements to everything. So if you know the specific type of engineering you want to do, actually the grade requirements are a little bit higher. If you would like to be more of a general engineer to start with and then diversify when you're there, then the grade requirements are a little bit more generous for you too. And so what we're also looking at MPW is the strategy of how we actually get you then to university. Now, EPQ, I'll just speed up a little bit here. The EPQ itself, the EPQ, the extended project, can be done on anything. It is a topic of entirely of your choosing, and it is there for you to be able to explore a topic and to demonstrate that you are a university student in the making. If you do it right, it can bring down your grade requirement, and the EPQ is one thing we champion. We also offer foundation courses at MPW. I'm not going to discuss those in too much depth. We're going to do that in Q&A because very simply, as much as possible, for MPW, we'd like you to try and consider A-levels and then consider the foundation second, if A-levels are not right for you. Only because A-levels give you longer to explore, to give you more opportunity, and also to be able to get some things wrong. Whereas with the foundation course, you are being very, very specific. We do have wonderful foundation courses though. One is the University of London course. The other big one there is the NC UK one as well, which offer excellent progression to university for students who want to be very specific. But grades are going to talk above all else. And if they're not in place, you're going to be way behind the line before you start. So what we do in terms of how we help you pick from the outset is crucial. That's why I've spent so long telling you about it. Right, I want to bring Valerie in. Valerie, are you there for me?
Yep.
Hello. Valerie, firstly,
Hi.
can you introduce yourself, please?
Well, so as James said, my name is Valerie, and I'm a second-year medical student at Queen Mary's University of London in Malta. I did the 2-year A-level course in MPW. I think I finished in 2020. Yes, I did. And yeah, that's basically all about me.
Okay, very good indeed. How are you getting on with your medical course? Are you enjoying it?
Yes, I am. It's actually quite interesting. I mean, living on an island is much different from living in the UK, but it's a new experience. I'm just getting used to it. The course itself is very interesting. The professors are just amazing, really. And we're like right next to the hospital. So the doctors are always there to help us well if we need anything. So yeah, I'm enjoying myself.
Very good. What made you choose this particular university?
So basically, I'm an international student, as most people would be. And the pound to naira exchange rate is getting higher every time. But like, so I thought if I came here, then I could pay in euros. Also, I'm going to get a degree from Queen Mary's. I'm just in a different location. So it's the exact same degree as you would get if you went to Queen Mary's London, but just a different location. So that's why I chose this university.
You are an excellent example of why the English system is so good, in the fact that it's so creative nowadays in terms of where you can go, what you can do, and how many partner institutions work with each other, still working for exactly the same goal, which is tremendous. How much do you remember your time at MPW then?
I remember quite a bit. I mean, it's not a forgettable experience. It's an unforgettable experience. So yes, I remember quite a bit.
What made it unforgettable for you?
I think I just really liked how you weren't put in a box, if that makes sense. Like, obviously, when I was doing my A levels, I feel like there are lots of things I felt like I couldn't do. And I thought that would limit me, considering I was going to study medicine, which is quite difficult to get into to begin with. And so I'll use an example. I did EPQ. I did the EPQ thing, and I hate writing essays. Main reason why I couldn't study law or anything like that. I don't like writing essays, and I knew the EPQ was going to be a big issue. But I was going to try something new, and I feel like I did well. I got a good grade, and I feel like my teacher or my lecturer at the time was just so helpful, because you think you can't do something, but the teachers at MPW they just show you that that's not true. And I feel like just that much guidance that I got, and the fact that it was able to produce like a good result, just made the whole experience unforgettable. And I feel like that's how it was with my entire time at MPW. It was just people guiding me and helping me to get the best results I could. So yeah.
Fantastic. What did you do your EPQ on at MPW?
It was on the life of a medical student. I can't remember the exact title, but I know it was about how medical students cope with the workload and everything. Yeah.
And do you find that having done that EPQ, it's an accurate reflection of what you're doing right now? Or did you feel like you may have been a little generous in your EPQ, and actually it's a lot harder doing it as live as it were now?
Honestly, I feel like, I don't want to say I was being a bit generous, because I did ask some actual medical students for primary research. And I feel like if now that I'm in their shoes, I would give the same answer they gave me, because it's like, sure, the course isn't easy, but it's also, this is what you signed up for and this is what it is. And I feel like if it's something you're really interested in, then it's the workload is heavy, but then it's also not like, oh, I can't really do this. It's just more, I have to do more work to get a good result. So I feel like my APQ was kind of accurate. I feel like it was fairly accurate. Yeah.
Very good. Good. Right. So that'll lead us on a little bit. What I'd like to do is to find out if there is anyone out there at this moment who feels so brave as to interview Valerie right now, as if you were an MPW interviewer. What sort of questions would you be asking Valerie? She's sat down in front of you. She doesn't know what course she wants to do. She's only 16 years old. She has some ideas. What sort of questions would you be asking Valerie right now? Now, if no one does feel brave, I can take this in a different direction. But let's see if there's anyone who wants to be brave. And as I said, Valerie, you were going to turn into a guinea pig today, and this is the start of it. Okay, let's do this in a slightly different way while people build up their confidence. Design something for you here, which is basically to be the MPW interviewer. Valerie, you're going to be the MPW interviewer to start, just to show how this works. Here are the rules that you have to follow in terms of what you're considering as an interviewer in front of your candidate. And here is your first candidate, okay? So, considering all these things, what would your recommendations be to Keita, who's an international student from Japan, What would your recommendations be for her in order to study before university with us at MPW? What subjects would you be veering her towards?
Well, since she's trying to study biomedical science, I would suggest she go a bit towards the sciences. So maybe, I'm not too sure what the requirements are, but I think chemistry or biology are safe options. They're always safe options, to be honest. And I'm not sure what the IELTS requirements are, but if she wants, I would suggest the EAL courses that MPW offers, just because why not? And also, I would suggest some extracurricular activities. Extracurriculars are always fantastic. Like, I don't know, universities love them. So, and MPW does carry a wide range of extracurricular activities. So I would suggest that. And yeah.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Biomedical sciences always will require chemistry in there. And I mean, generally speaking, with the presence of bio at the start, you'd be looking to put biology in there too. So your general recommendations are going to be around the sciences. And then your other subjects, what would you choose for 3 and 4?
What would I choose? I would say, well, honestly, she can, anything that she would enjoy, to be honest, because 3 and 4 I usually just do something that you enjoy, but also some universities do require it to not be like, I think, general knowledge or things like that. So I guess she could also do some research on some universities and see what they don't like. But then for 3 and 4, I would suggest that she can just do something she enjoys, to be honest. Or even the EPQ is always a nice choice. Just
to be honest, Valerie, you hit the nail on the head, doing what you enjoy. The 3rd and 4th are completely irrelevant. What we look at with a profile like this is the IELTS level is a touch low. So we will look to develop that over the course of time with us at MPW. She's 17. So are we looking at foundation? Are we looking at 1-year A level? Are we looking at 2-year A level? Arguably, all of these are on the table for this particular candidate at this particular moment in time. But because of the slightly lower English language level and her academic history is only middle of the range, 1-year A levels are probably going to be too hard for her, because the simple implication of 1-year A levels is 2 years combined into one. So either a foundation course or a 2-year A level program, and that would form the basis of the discussion. She hasn't got much by way of extracurricular, so we would look to develop that within our offering to her too. So very good. This one's very easy for you. This one's medicine, so I'll just jump ahead, Valerie, and say it's exactly what you know, biology and chemistry. We know exactly where this student's going. They're driven. We'd just be encouraging them on the 3rd subject to try something different. What about Olga? What would we do for Olga?
Well, academic history is strong, so we don't really need to worry about her for that. Her IELTS is also quite good. So I would encourage her to try more extracurriculars. For finance, probably the business courses. I'm not too sure actually, because I didn't really do anything like that. But something relating to business or maybe math. I think I knew some people that went on to do finance that did math just because why not, or economics.
There you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, fine. So with something like finance needs maths, and I want to pop in here at this stage. Economics and business are the 2 biggest subjects you want to avoid putting into your combination. And often when people want to do economics, finance, something like that, the general advice they'll get is that they should be doing economics and business. And that is absolutely wrong, because universities, particularly the top universities, will not count business in the combination along with economics. Okay, economics is seen as strong and standalone. Business weakens the combination. So mathematics is the be all and end all. Okay, and that applies for that one. And just out of curiosity, just on Alice at the end, what do you think you'd do with Alice? What's international relations when it's at home?
Pardon? Sorry?
What would you do with international relations? What is it as a subject?
Honestly, I don't know a lot about international relations.
Okay, so based on their
yeah.
academic history, what would you be suggesting for them to start with? They're 17 years old and they've finished high school in Brazil. What would you be suggesting? Would you say that it needs to be a 2-year? Do you think they're a capable candidate for a 1-year? Or do you think they're more of a foundation course student?
Honestly, I would say the 2-year or the 1-year. I don't know. Her academic history is strong, so I'm guessing she could handle the 1-year course. So I would suggest definitely the A levels rather than foundation, because she's
Good.
just 17. So yeah.
She is just 17, and this actually brings the neat point to a head here. If you're academically capable, i.e., you're very strong and you're very confident in what you do, then we're always going to try and encourage you onto A levels, and we'll encourage you to try and do the 1-year A level route, because it's going to give you a lot of opportunities, and it gives you breadth in a way, depth rather, in a way that no other course does. Okay, so it's going to be better for you in the long run. However, for very strong candidates, you also have the University of London Foundation course, which is following curriculum set by the LSE. So it's a very in-depth discovery of a wide variety of subjects. But there is international relations as part of it. International relations is politics, it's history, it's a bit of economics that goes in there. It's a bit of geography, a bit of sustainability. It's very relevant to what's going on in the world at the moment. So we'd rather try and get you onto an A-level program that dealt with politics, history, and geography, for example, or politics, history, and economics, because that's going to give you a good grounding moving forwards from there. What we're always looking at is the English language level 2 and whether we can develop you. And as Valerie said, we do EAL classes, and we'll be supplementing your studies with those as we go. So don't worry if you're coming in with a slightly lower level. Now, some great questions are coming through. We're about to answer those in about 5 minutes time. Just want to whip through this bit. Valerie, chip in as you will here. I just want to contextualize very quickly for you how MPW will help you stand out, because we will treat you in a slightly different way, and we'll treat you more like I wouldn't say an adult because that's such a cliched term, but we'll start treating you like an undergraduate student, because we have to. Our responsibility is not only the here and now, but to get you ready for what comes next. And with fierce application numbers to universities, and okay, we're using a bit of lies, damn lies, and statistics here, but with fierce applications, we want to help you stand out. I come from a very creative background, and I get a little frustrated with this term all the time of think outside the box, because when you tell people think outside the box and blue sky thinking and all of this, it's too big and it confuses students at this particular stage. So instead, I just want to re-envisage that. And the way we do it at MPW, we just slightly change the wording. We're thinking inside the box. And when you think inside the box, basically, it just means you put parameters. You do things in a manageable way. And what we'll be doing is giving you things in a manageable, systematic timeline structure across a 1-year or a 2-year program, so that you know what you need to do and when you need to do it by. And that will aid your creative thinking. The example I've always used here is NASA. If you've seen Apollo 13 or even know the true life story to it, Apollo 13 was when the spacecraft developed a problem with the oxygen up in space, and they couldn't fix it themselves up there. So what they needed was people on the ground in order to be able to help them fix it up in space. But instead of having this out of the box thinking inside the box was exactly what helped them solve the problem. So instead of fixing the problem with anything and everything that they could think of, they could only use what they actually had on the space shuttle at that particular moment in time. And by using just that, they were able to fix the problem. So if we think inside the box, we get students there much, much quicker. And we teach you the art of selling. The best salespeople out there are not the ones who try and sell your product straight away, not the ones who come up with a fanciful story about this product that they have, or this association with a celebrity who might use it. The best people who sell are the people who actually take the time to talk to the person they're selling to first, to understand a little bit more about them, whether they actually want the product in the first place. And if they do, they then know they can sell it to them. And if they don't, then they move on to something else. And this is what we need to get you to understand. You're a commodity. You are something to be sold. And by doing your research across the course of time, and this is why don't rush your studies before university as well, because we're going to introduce you to universities. You're going to be speaking to admissions tutors. You're going to get to learn what they want from you, and you're going to do research. And when you know that, we then help you sell yourself to the university. And that's absolutely critical. Okay, and once you've done that, you'll have worked out why you, why not the person sat next to you, and what they're looking for. And universities always want pretty much the same thing. They want potential. They want you to have a curiosity that goes beyond the subject. Most importantly, they want you not to have peaked at school. That sounds strange, but most students do peak when they get to the end of school in terms of their academic ability. And then university is roughly a stepping stone to what comes next, but it's formulaic. What universities want is someone who's going to challenge the subject itself and make connections between subjects. So we're going to make you see how your course is relevant to other subjects. And we do a lot between cross departments at MPW as well. So cross departmental trips. The English department, for example, best example I can give you is the English department go on the history of art trips because the literature crosses over. So an English literature student will find themselves in Florence and Paris and Rome in the same way as the history of art students do. So we want you to make those connections. We also want you to be developing yourself across time, and we'll be encouraging you to read, to listen to podcasts, TED Talks, anything along the way. And the library department are the people who steer you towards specific journals and books that you can be reading, videos that you can be watching to enhance and supplementing and working alongside departments too. Because this is the timeline that you have to follow. We've got about 18 months to turn you into students who are going to be capable and able to go onto the university system. We'll also be encouraging work experience from you. And generally speaking, work experience should be relevant to what you want to go on and do. But we also want you to consider the charity side, the working with the elderly or the young people, so you can appreciate age range and to experience some sort of difficulty in advance of university so you know how to cope if you ever encounter a difficult situation. Work experience is great because it's there to help you understand if this course is right for you, but it's also there to dismiss it if it's not. And for certain courses like medicine, dentistry, veterinary, and engineering, it's critical. If you can't get it, the internet is the most giving resource going. And there are a lot, particularly through universities, of virtual experiences that you can do now, which were all pioneered slightly before and mostly during the COVID pandemic that we have now all lived through. And read. Students at MPW are encouraged to read papers, journals, watch the news, understand what is happening in the world around you. Why? Because it helps your studies, but more importantly, it makes the world more interesting and more accessible for you. The best students are the ones who can actually apply their knowledge to the world outside. Okay. And then basically make notes as you're going through. But I want you to remember what makes you individual as my last point in all of this. Tailored, not uniform. The best book I've ever read at this moment in time is called Exercise and Style by Raymond Queneau. Maybe not the best book I've ever read, but certainly a very good one. What it is it's the same story told 99 different ways. And it's a very, very, very short story. And it's basically about a man who is on a bus and he loses his button. And then later on in the day, he meets his friend in the marketplace. Roughly contextualized, and that story is told in 99 different ways by retelling the changing the tone, the pitch, the intonation, everything about it, and in 99 different ways the story becomes different. And the point is, for you are individuals. We want to help you create your own story, and every time you do anything in your own heads, think, and so what? Because it's certainly a phrase that we use. Every time you say something, we'll challenge you on it. What do you mean? How do you mean it? Why are you saying it? If you can't explain it, then it doesn't have weight either in your essays or in your personal statement or in your development. Okay. And work with a friend on all of this as we round up here. Work with a friend, explain topics to them. Meet every week or fortnight and just have a chat about something that you've read, or explain something from your course to them, something that they wouldn't know, because the challenge in that for you is the harder you work to explain it to them, the more they will understand it. And if you can get that point across, then you're going to be more succinct in your academics and in your personal statements too. Okay, right. Question time with both Valerie and I, because I've seen some great questions come through, particularly for Valerie in here as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, the platform and the stage is yours. So what can we answer for you today?
Hello, Ini. Hello. I think.
Hello.
Yeah, just waiting for Ini to respond. Hi, Ini. Can you hear us? Okay. So let's move towards the Q&A session. I think your presentation is over, James.
It is. Yep. You're free. Free to
So,
ask.
yeah, okay. So the first question, how do I get started with the registration?
Post this, you have a chat with James, who will take you through everything on that one. The registration process will begin with James. Do you want to kick in?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, you can drop into your local SIUK branch. I think that Ini and Deepika will be able to confirm the addresses for those. If you would like to visit those, you can have a chat about, which is the right course for you. And then SIUK will help you to complete the application form. And then we will get you scheduled in for the interview, which hopefully you will now have some nice tips so you'll feel very well prepared for.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, James. Okay.
Now Ini can
Hi, Ini.
Okay, thank you, James, for that quite informative yet very interesting section. I enjoyed every bit of it, and I am sure that every other participant on this call did as well. Thank you so much. Yeah, so as for the question on how they can get started, of course, they can walk into any of the SIUK offices close or closest to them. For our Nigerian students, of course, we have our offices in Lagos and Abuja that they can walk into, and then we can, guide them as to how to get started on their journey to MPW. All right. Yes. So again, thank you so much. We have a couple of questions here that I would like for us to take very quickly. Yeah, so the first question would be, is there any age limit? Is there any age limit to get into the 1-year A-level program?
Age limit's difficult. It's more based on academic ability. I mean, generally speaking, you wouldn't want someone to be going on to a 1 year unless they were 17 going upwards, because it's about the academic ability behind them. I suppose, do they have the right skill set going forward? Everyone's taken on their own merits though, so age isn't the strict and hard fast on all of that. It's looking at the academic side of how people finish up on school. You would never try and accelerate someone through too quickly from GCSE stage onto a 1-year course though.
Okay, all right, thank you, James. Another question we have here is, are there specific subjects to be taken if one wants to study nursing?
Nursing's an interesting one because nursing's a caring profession, and really what we're looking to do is pull out empathy there. Now, if you don't want to study biology, you probably don't want to go into nursing. Okay, so by implication, you should be doing biology within there, although for majority, it's not a hard and fast prerequisite. But biology would be the one we encourage you towards. What we're looking at, though, is subjects that pull out your empathy and subjects that that ultimately would help round off analytical thinking and problem solving within there. You can do what you like within nursing, but that's where the conversation would surround. Use biology as your nucleus, broaden it out from there in terms of what's interesting to you. I always like something in the mix of a 4 A-level subjects, like a geography in there for nursing, because geography is an appreciation of the world around. Psychology is also very interesting for that. Sociology is also very interesting for nursing as well.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for that. Another question we have here is, okay, just a moment. Okay, what is the percentage of Nigerian students attending your courses or attending MPW? Do you have that statistics?
So in terms of the number of Nigerian students that we get, we probably have about, I'm doing some very fast maths in my head right now, about 4% of our student body annually comes from Nigeria. That would be slightly higher in MPW Birmingham. Birmingham is a very popular destination for Nigerian students. It would be a little bit lower in Cambridge and in London. So, you know, different students, and when I meet different students from Nigeria, they have different preferences. I meet many students who maybe they've not left Nigeria before and they prefer to be around other Nigerian students so that they have that kind of element of home comfort. Whereas I get many students who, you know, they've chosen that study abroad experience because they really want to meet new cultures and really mix in. So yeah, it very much depends on you as a student and what sounds right for you.
Okay, great. Thank you, James, for that very detailed response. Another question, are there any scholarships for Nigerian students?
So scholarships is very much a merit-based system. So there are some partial scholarships, definitely never full scholarships, available to high caliber candidates, the most rewarding of which would be called the principal scholarship. So, you know, if you really do kind of champion yourself, then you may wish to sit a principal's test and have an interview directly with the principal of the dedicated college. And then it will be at the principal's discretion to offer a partial scholarship to you if you are a very impressive candidate. However, if you would like more information about those, then keep in touch with your local SIUK office for more information.
Okay, great. Thank you, James. A very important question I have here. Do you have guaranteed progression to university partners?
It depends on what you're doing, really. The NC UK foundation course does offer progression onto specific university partners, of which there is a number within there. If you're taking A-levels, there is no way of having guaranteed progression to certain university partners. It is on the strength of how you perform in A-levels, and it's an equality system for everyone out there who is taking A-levels themselves. What we have is not only excellent, but probably more than that, outstanding relationships with universities who will take the time to actually talk to our students, understand our students, listen, answer any questions that they might have. They come and visit us and give university talks. We run university fairs down at MPW. We're well known in the university marketplace and have been for knocking on 50 years with that. So no, not guaranteed, because everything is merit-based, as James used the term before. But at the end of the day, excellent opportunities to do that.
Thank you so much. That was quite detailed. Another question we have here, does the MPW assist students with getting internships during their program?
Yes, internships are, again, it's a matter of students applying directly to the place that they'd like to go. What we do and what the personal tutors do, and every student does get a personal tutor at MPW, what their responsibility is to help identify some of these work experience opportunities, to help them then apply to them, I suppose, by more or less ghostwriting, being someone behind them who's helping direct them towards exactly what they need to do, exactly what they need to write, and helping them sell themselves best foot forward. We do have a very extensive alumni network that we make use of as well, and have done particularly over the last 3 or 4 years in order to give more of these opportunities. So yes, in a nutshell.
Great. Thank you so much for that. Another question here. What are the accommodation facilities available at MPW?
So MPW, yeah, we've got an accommodation organization called KSS, which stands for Kensington Student Services. And that consists of residential accommodation options in all 3 of our locations. Now, this can range from shared apartments to studio apartments. We also have some student houses as well. But within KSS, every student gets their own bedroom. And then you choose your kind of bronze or silver or gold package, depending on if you want ensuite, if you want to share your kitchen, or you want your own kitchen. However, we will have a new development in MPW London for September 2022, because we have just acquired a brand new building, and we are currently building right next to where I am now, a new boarding house with 72 ensuite bedrooms and canteen and classrooms within the same space. So if you especially like to roll out of bed in the morning and be in your class in 5 minutes later, then that'll be a great opportunity. It's right opposite the Natural History Museum, so quite an outstanding location too. So yes, definitely, if you are looking for quite a special experience, that will be something to keep an eye out for.
Great. Thank you, James. All right. Another one here. Apart from locations, are there specific courses can be studied across the three campuses? Are there courses specific to a particular campus that cannot be studied at the other campus?
Yes. So MPW London is our largest of our three colleges. We have the widest selection of subjects available there. So we have, your 46 different subjects are available in London. That will be a slightly smaller number in Birmingham and Cambridge, but still very extensive. We have a few other additional courses that are only available in London due to the college's size. So we offer 5 different art A-levels in London, and we will also be adding the University of the Arts London Foundation Diploma in Art and Design from September 2022. So University of the Arts London, it is the second highest ranked university for art and design in the world by QS University rankings. So that's something very exciting, something really good for students who are specialists in art. And the NCUK Foundation will be delivered in all campuses, but we also deliver our own MPW University Foundation program, which is very specialist in business. It's great for getting into business management, and that is only delivered in London as well. So lots of business options for students in London. Obviously, it's a great big business city, and lots of art options as well. We're surrounded by museums like the V&A, and I think if you're really, really serious about art, then London is a great place to be for that.
Great, thank you for that answer. All right. One last question here. What are the required subjects to study agricultural science?
Gosh, I haven't had agricultural science in years. Actually, as broad as you can possibly get. Let me give you an example. Edinburgh, if I'm not wrong, Edinburgh requires something like ABB to do agricultural science, and they require an AB from specific subjects, but those subjects are quite varied. They can be biology, business management, chemistry, economics, environmental science, geography, maths, and physics. You can check that one out and quote me on it, but agricultural science is quite varied in terms of what you actually have to have, but there are some specifics within there. And it's actually not that competitive a course, so the grade requirements are quite generous for it.
Right, great. Thank you so much. Yeah, well, in the absence of no other questions, I really want to thank you, James. Well, actually, the two Jameses. Thank you so much for your time with us today. Thank you, Valerie. It's been such a pleasure being with you guys today. Any last words for our audience here today?
Can I actually just give it to Valerie for just the last word? Because I know Joyce has her hand up here as well, and I know Joyce has a question directly to Valerie in all of this. But Valerie, if you can see Joyce's question, fantastic, please answer it. But if you can't, can you also give a sense as to what tip you give to any student wanting to come to MPW?
Okay, I'll just answer Joyce's question first, and then I'll answer yours. So, no, I did not experience, and I didn't have any issues with racism in MPW. I mean, no, to be fair, in my 2 years in the UK, I didn't have any issues with racism at all, which some people would say I was lucky. But within the school, I think I can assure you that that will not be a problem. I've never had any issue. None of my friends have had any issues. So everyone's just relaxed. Everyone's really nice. Everyone's chill. So yeah, no, I don't have any issues. So any tips for coming to MPW? Honestly, just come as you are. Come as you are. You'll be accepted. You'll be helped. You'll be guided. Whatever you think you cannot do, you can, and they will make sure you get what you came there for, if that makes sense. So if you have a goal in mind, everyone in the school would make sure that you accomplish that goal. I don't think I've met anyone in MPW that had to do that just didn't that wasn't fulfilled, if that makes sense. Everyone is pretty happy with where they are now. So yeah, that's my tip. Just come as you are.
Valerie, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. And just from me, just to say thank you to all of you for being here. And we really do hope that we get the opportunity to talk to you at the very least, because we do like starting people's stories for them. James.
Yeah, thank you both for joining today, for giving lots of very, very valuable advice to all of our participants, all of our attendees. Like we touched on before, if you are interested to take things further, then please do contact the team at SI UK or drop into one of the offices. We have a dedicated team who are based in Nigeria as well, so the SI UK team can invite one of our representatives to come and speak to you, and they can help you with even kind of interview stages and anything else that you need for your UK study. And yeah, I hope that we managed to answer all of your questions today. If not, we look forward to hearing from you in the near future.
All right. Thank you so much for those last words. Thank you, James. Thank you, the two Jameses. Thank you, Valerie. And thank you for joining us today. And thank you to everyone who took our time to join this webinar. We really do look forward to, helping you on your journey to MPW. Thank you once again, and do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.